Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Barbed Wire Bite. I'm here, as always, with your host, Mr. Gary Wolf, Pitbull #1.
What's up, guys?
Scott Hall is on life support.
Yeah, that's what I heard recently, like an hour ago.
3 heart attacks last night, they're saying.
3?
Because I guess we had that hip replacement. I mean, it's too early to know, but the speculation is when he had that hip surgery about a week or so ago, a blood clot broke loose last night, and that's what caused the heart attacks.
That's very possible. I mean, Chris Candido, I think that's how he passed away. He broke his ankle or something, and we were flying back, and I guess the blood clot went from his ankle all the way into his heart. So, yeah. Yeah, but Scott Hall, I mean, shit, he's been lucky, bro. You know how hard he parties, man. I remember being in Philadelphia, and they came into town, and, you know, I knew he drank and stuff like that, but I didn't know, like, he drank. So he'd go to, like, this place that was called Cheerleaders. We all used to hang out there. And he was there. I guess he got there probably with like between 11 and 12 in the afternoon. You know, he checked in and then stayed there until 2 o'clock, till they closed, almost 2:30 in the morning. He never went back to the Spectrum to work. So I don't know, you know, like that's when I knew he was bad. So I don't know if he was out hurt or he just didn't even show.
I know a lot of times I don't think he even showed.
Yeah, because like I said, he was, a friend of mine told me they had to help him get out of the club. That's how drunk he was, you know.
Plus what, probably pills on top of all that, booze.
Yeah, of course, on top of that. Absolutely. I mean, that's just something everybody was doing at that time. So, but he was drinking a lot. But I thought he got cleaned up. I mean, the last time I seen him, he looked pretty good after, I guess, the DDP stuff.
Yeah.
But
the yoga that cures drug addictions.
It's just that, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've heard Scott Hall say it, and I'm the same way. He said if he wasn't, like, if he was able to take a lot of Percocets and pain pills without, see, it would get me sick. Some people don't even bother, but I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't because of that. You know what I mean? Because that's what kept me from not eating so many pills, is because the fucking perks they would mess my stomach up. You know, and that saved my ass, I think.
I used to take those, what are they called? You get them in Canada. I want to say like 252s or something. It was the codeine pills. And I remember if I drank too much and I would take those, I'd get fucking like sick, just vomiting bad. But then I would just go back to, you know, you vomit up all your stuff till you're sober and you just go back to it. So
yeah. But everybody's different. So he had 3 heart attacks. That's rough. Because I know his heart, you know, his heart's already taken a beating as it is.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna say, you figure from the booze, the drugs. Clearly, he was on steroids back in the day.
Of course,
everybody was. I took them back in the 90s. I'm nobody. Everybody took them.
There's one thing I know I might have said it last week, but I'm going to say it again. I looked at the guys again this week. They're all getting bigger. They're all looking good. You know what I mean? I got to admit that. Like I said, the shows were a little like that. The pay-per-view I loved. I thought it was awesome. I think they were on like popcorn, but they were trying to get too much in on Wednesday, you know, and I think they should have spaced it out a little bit more, because it was like a Vince McMahon show right from the get-go. Too much gaga, you know what I mean? Too much.
Why do I get like why Regal's kind of with Moxley and Brian, because, you know, it was the NXT coach. That's the smart fans know that, not the everyday wrestling fan. And to me, it's just kind of silly. I want to know your take. Mox is a hell of a promo, Daniel. Bryan is a good promo. Regal's a good promo. Wouldn't you be better off sticking Regal with somebody that can't talk?
I agree. Moxie and Daniel don't need him to get over. They don't. Now, they should use him with somebody else, you know, honestly.
FTR fired Tully, which I'd been calling him dead weight since they hired him, because I
Yeah.
get that. Let's hire a guy to talk for the team that can't talk, but then they hire a guy that don't talk.
You
Tully
know,
was the
cut pro. He's
with
not.
the punch.
I mean, he was a great promo guy back in the day. It just seems like you don't want to cut the promos.
He stood there half asleep.
Like people, I'll give you an example. Hook. Like he could use Regal because Regal will not only would teach him how to cut promos, but he would also show the kid how to sell and, you know, instead of pushing them as strong as they are, because I think they're just going to bury him when they're doing it that way. That's why I always say it's not good to be starting up top. There's only one way to go, and that's down. I like to start in the middle and work my way up. You know what I mean? That's how I think it should be done. But
the Jericho heel turn, which I kind of saw that coming, but I didn't figure they'd stick him with Daniel Garcia in 2.0. Those guys got to have pictures on somebody. They're not entertaining in the least.
And I guess they're probably trying to get him over as heels more, or you know, putting them with Jericho. Jericho's like he could be a heel and he'll still get a baby face pop.
That crowd's going to keep singing his song.
Yeah, so it doesn't make a difference. He's like another Stone Cold or another Rock. You know, he's got that gimmick now where he could be a fucking heel and they're going to cheer for him. You know, you don't have to. He can be himself now. You don't have to be Mr. Go Lucky, and you know what I mean. Fucking between traveling with Fozzy plus wrestling, brother's got to be tired, man. You know what I mean? So if he could be himself, be a heel, he's still going to get over as a face.
I've talked to him a few times. He seems like a decent guy. He didn't seem like a prick or anything.
No, not at all.
Seems like a very busy guy.
Very busy. That's the problem. He's always busy. And that's where people get they make the mistake of, oh, he's a prick. You don't have, no, it's just they don't have time. You know what I mean? It's not like he's being a jerk off. He just doesn't have time. Some people say it, they don't mean it. They're the dickheads. You know what I mean? But obviously he is busy. And I don't see what's going on. I was hoping we were going to see Cody come in with the Briscoes.
I read that I guess like a piece of AEW is owned by like Discovery, which merged with Warner Brothers, like some little piece shareholder thing. And whoever is a big wig there does not like the Briscoes for some homosexual tweets they did years ago. We're going back in that fucking years ago bullshit.
Who cares how it was a long time ago? Who gives a shit?
And it's a gimmick. They're redneck kung fu. You know, they shouldn't. If you're going to base them on a gimmick, they should not like homosexual people. They're rednecks from the fucking mountains. You know, it's a gimmick.
They don't get it. Like I said, see how it is. Top people, executives who are not from our business, who want to be in our business because they think they know. It's they don't understand. You know, the Briscoes, the SATs, they're great tag teams, man. I've had them tag teams it was a Pitbull Public Enemy tournament we had. And they were two of the tag teams that were in it. And they were amazing. I mean, the SATs, they invented the Spanish Fly. They were the first team ever to do that Spanish Fly move off the top rope. And that's true. And I was even like, what the fuck are they doing? They're crazy. You know what I mean? Because their spots, some moves I wouldn't even try, you know?
Look at how different it is. Like now, the guy had the sign, Nyla Rose is this guy's dad, kicked out of the building. When Adrian Adonis turned heel and he was doing, I was at that crowd as a little kid. Everybody was chanting faggot at him. Piper's bringing him flowers and a pink hat and a dress. And, oh, hey, can you hang on 1 second? I just got to take this call. I just got to push pause.
Okay.
If I can find the pause button. Sorry, I had technical difficulty. I had a phone call, but yeah, remember, and then they were calling Bob Orton AC, and Piper's like, oh, they call you AC now, and he gives him the little hat and all that. Now, boy, if you chanted faggot at somebody now, you would get probably beat up, you'd get thrown out of the damn show, and they probably get sued.
Yeah, but I've had the whole crowd call me faggot.
Yeah.
Before. I mean, the whole crowd, the whole entire building. You know, when we were heels in North Carolina, I mean, we would get destroyed. destroyed as far as getting, if they weren't calling us shit bulls, they were calling us juice heads, or they would chant steroids, you know what I mean? All kinds of shit, you know what I mean? And they would do the gay gimmick. Because sometimes if I ask my back, rub my back, my partner rubs it back right away.
Yeah. I saw a live show where Jericho and Guerrero in WCW, they teamed up, and Jericho's crawling on his knee. No, it's Eddie was crawling on his knees and he's hugging him, where his head's like right by Jericho's, faggot. And all. That's their job. They're a heel.
What they wanted them to do.
Yes.
I was in North Carolina once, and I had short hair, and no lie, man, they said I looked like Eddie Munster. So the whole crowd started chanting, Eddie, Eddie. I remember going into the corner of the ring, underneath the bottom turnbuckle, just covering my head like this, and I'm laughing, but the whole place is chanting Eddie. I'm making them think it's pissing me off, and I'm crying about it, but I'm actually laughing my ass off. And I look the corner of my eye, the boys are loving it because they're like, this is work, this is great, And I, crawl back over, make the tag, they'd boo me and shit. It's awesome, man. I mean, I love being a heel more than a babyface.
I think it seems like to me that would be easier to do. To be the heel, it'd be funner too.
But you got to be, you have to be able to let go and just, you know what I mean? Like in the beginning, some guys, it's hard for them to let go. You know what I mean? They're a little shy, or, they still haven't broke that barrier yet, something like that happened to me and Anthony in Japan, our first time in Japan. We were doing good, no problems, but the boys like Bam Bam and Vader were like, you got Anthony, especially, you got to start getting more aggressive. You got to be more aggressive. And he was holding back, because I guess he was still a little nervous. But then once they ribbed him that one night, man, that next day, like I said, I walked in the locker room on that tour, and I remember telling, man, who's ever working him, you better be fucking ready to work. He's pissed. And that's when everything turned around and he changed totally. He started cutting promos better, working better, taking his time. Like, we learned a lot from Raven. I mean, Scotty he's a fucking genius, man, when it comes to the business. I mean, he comes up with some angles, and like he would even tell us, when you sell, move your arms. You know what I mean? Just don't move your head, move your arms too, It just looks so much better. And he's right. He was right. It does,
How come, because he was big man in ECW. Even in WCW, he was mid, which is was hard to get even anywhere out of the bottom there. WWE, toilet. Why do you think he was never really utilized? Just had some of his own personal issues?
No, those companies want to tell you to do everything. When to piss, when to shit, when to take a shower, when to go to bed. They want to control you, man. And in ECW, Raven was pretty much his own writer. He wrote his own shit. We don't have writers there. You know what I'm saying? So, he would help us come up with stuff. He would write all his shit out. I mean, we'd be out at bars and shit, and I look over to him. He's got a napkin, and he's sitting there writing with a pen on a bar napkin, spots or gimmicks, or how he invented that whole Raven thing. Because when he first came from WWE, he was working for WWE. I mean, he was in the office. I mean, he had benefits. He had everything.
He was Johnny Polo. He hung out with Shane.
Yeah, he did not. He didn't want that. Like, that's what they wanted for him, and he wanted to wrestle. And WWE at the time, they were WWF at the time. They're like, no, this is what we want you to do. And I remember he came to Cherry Hill, and he's like, can you talk to Paul and get me in? I want to come over there. And I'm like, why would you want to leave Vince? You're making great money. He's like, I'm not happy. I'm like, okay, I get it. So one thing led to another, and I think he ended up getting Diamond Dallas Page to make a phone call for him, and Paul brought him in then. And it was a great idea to bring him in, because honestly, he went right to the top as one of the top angles.
And he got Dreamer over because,
Got
contrary to what they'll
Dreamer.
lead you to believe, nobody liked Dreamer until that.
Yeah, you figure with Dreamer, you figure with Sandman. You know what I mean? He helped me and my partner get over because he put us in his flock for a little bit.
The
You
Mick Foley heel turn, everything.
So he, like I said, he was a big part of ECW, and people that they may not want to admit it, but I was there and I saw it firsthand, you know, and I did a lot of things with him. So I know, like I said, the offices were different. You know what I mean? In WCW, Raven probably had a say, but not a full say. Vince, he had no say. They just said, here's the script, do it. You know, where Raven, you know, quote the Raven nevermore. You know what I mean? Now, I'm sure he came up with that gimmick down to Florida with Hack being his neighbor and all that shit. I know, knowing Scotty, he came up with that. I don't think the office really came up with that gimmick for him.
Should have had more. Like Sabu could have been like working at a grocery store that you could have worked it all. I mean, it would have been kind of funny. Hardcore fans wouldn't have liked it, but would have made good TV.
If he would have, I would have continued it. Like I would have made it. Eventually, it could have been a separate show.
Yeah,
like his neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? You know, and then you have all these, you know, odd guys pop in every week on a weekly basis. You know, this guy's neighbor, that neighbor's cousins in town. Or, you know what I mean? And I think they could have ran with that, man, and it would have been hilarious. Especially if it was like, if he used mostly ECW guys, because we were all pretty crazy when it came to promos and shit. Like we knew we would feel the flow and just keep going with it. Like we never needed anybody direction, a director giving us, you know, direction where to go. You know,
I caught when Hack came in for that promo I really like, and he was just Jim, and it's like, oh, and Tyler's so big now, and you know, I knew from ECW, okay, it's his son Tyler. It's like, and Lori called the O, and it's like, okay, he's talking about his real family. I get this, but he was just natural at it. I don't.
He was a trip. I was at his house in Pennsylvania when he was working for WCW. I remember. Because we had a big pool party over there, and he could play some basketball, man. He could play some hoops. You'd be surprised. You wouldn't think he could, but
I wouldn't think he could do anything athletic, to be
honest. He could slam a basketball.
He was a rugby player, wasn't he?
Yes. People don't know that. That's what I'm saying. A lot of people. I love how fans think they know everything. You know what I mean? And they don't know shit. Some of them. They think they know everything. That's why I always respect ECW fans, because they're not just fans, they're smart fucking marks. You know what I mean? You can't bullshit them. If you try, they're gonna let you know that they know you're bullshitting them. You know, they'll tell you suck.
No, I know.
It's a spot. They're gonna say you fucked up.
And I know Hack left because he admitted, he said, I got an argument. I was supposed to be the highest paid guy. Sabu got paid like $1,000 more than me. I was a hothead and I quit. Why did Raven leave? He would have got that belt back from Funk in a month if he would have stayed. I don't get why. Just money?
Well, I guess WCW gave him a nice deal. You know, I mean, I was going to go with him in the flock, but it just so happened I had to get knee surgery. You know, so I was just like, shit. So
now I know he was paying Richards. He's admitted it. He would pay Richards out of his own pocket weekly too, because Richard was like his lackey, his gopher. Richards went to WCW with him for like 2 weeks, and then he came back. Why was he only there for? Is that when they kind of had their big falling out because Raven was?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the story, but the only thing I can think of is maybe WCW wasn't interested in Stevie at the time. You know what I mean? I
never was. Nothing against Stevie. I never thought he was the next Shawn Michaels like a lot of people did. He wasn't.
No. No, I mean, his gimmicks were great. I mean, the Blue World Order and shit like that. I mean, that's money. That's money. I mean, they sold, I think in our company in ECW, they were the money guys at one point because they were selling more merchandise than fucking anybody.
But did he come up with that or did Raven?
I don't know. I'm thinking something like that, Raven. You know, but you got to remember, they were mocking the NWO. they were kind of, trying to be one guy was Hogan, one guy was Scott Hall, one guy was Kevin Nash, and
The blue guy.
yeah, that's how they were trying to do it. And I don't think it could have been Raven. I mean, he was with Stevie and Meanie. I mean, they were his lackeys. I mean, because when we were with Raven, they were still his lackeys. They were still there. We would just be, I guess, the muscle for Raven at the time. That was his gimmick for us.
The only thing that made no sense to me when they did the angle where Beulah says, "I'm pregnant," and Stevie Richards started jumping up and down like, yeah, it's like, what the fuck? You didn't fuck her? What? I didn't, going back, I didn't watch it. That's when she said it was Tommy's, you could see that coming a mile away, but that was still a good angle.
Oh, the crowd I was in the back for that. And I heard the crowd just go whoop, silence, like, whoa. As soon as she said I'm pregnant, everybody was like, what? Like, and then everybody said, whose kid is it?
I remember when he started choking her, the pill says one day at a time, moron, and all that. It's not yours. That's when he hit Steve. It's Tommy's. Styles sold it so good. It's Tommy's like that. And then Dreamer came. He took sign guys.
I'm telling you, Joey, as far as being a commentator, he's the best, bro. Mm-hmm. I mean, for him to handle it by himself, he didn't even need a color guy, and he was able to knock it out both, for both people. That's talent, man. And it's cool too, because he wasn't a snob. He would come up to you and he would go over your match he wanted to know what was happening in your match. So then he would take notes, because he would know, like, oh, that's a new, like, we would always come up with a new move. So I would tell him, yeah, we're going to throw in this new move today. It's called the guillotine. So when you see me do this and that, you'll know that's the move. And he'll be like, oh, great. Because I don't want to sit there and be like, I don't know what it's called, But that was a good thing that he did with everybody. So when you see him do commentary, he's doing it because he did his homework as well. A lot of guys, I mean, I've been to Vince. I don't see their guys walking around talking to guys going over their match.
Somebody's in their ear telling them what to get over, what angle
Somebody
to talk about.
They're in their fucking ear saying, don't talk about that, talk about this. And you can tell sometimes, because they'll pause a second. Like, they're getting ready to say something, and in their head, they stop them immediately. Don't bring that up. Do something else.
I thought Paul Lee was a shit commentator. I know I'm going to get heat for that. Not too bad in WCW because he was still different than all the old guys. But when they brought him into WWE to commentate when Lawler got fired, I thought it was terrible. All he was doing was putting himself over. I, for some reason, just don't like when. And I know it's probably tempting, but it just bothers me for some reason.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I missed Jericho doing commentating Friday. Okay, I gotta tell you, I missed that. When him and Taz bounced back and forth off each other, it was pretty smooth, man. I'm not gonna lie. But I thought it was, they need Chris on if Chris ever retires, do commentate. You know what I'm saying? You can do a commentator, you can be a manager. You don't have to work anymore if you didn't want to.
Being a commentator would be a great job. It's an office job.
It is, and that's exactly what he should have. I mean, but we got, how about the Hardys reuniting in AEW?
Here's the thing that was dumb. You saw it coming a mile away when Matt was in the old Hardy, but Jeff Hardy finally comes down and he stops to do that. It's like, your brother's getting the shit beat out of him, but you got to stop to dance before he. And I always liked it better when somebody just came running down like through the crowd or something, because if they hit the music, then it's telling you how it's planned. Have the guy jump the railing to save Matt. You know what I mean? That would have made. That's why I like when Scott Hall just walked down in WCW. Hey, you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm. That's why I thought that made it more believable.
True. It's true. No, you're right.
I did like Jeff. Jeff, and that's fast tracked and a half, boy, to get them together like that. I thought we'd have some skits or something, but
no, they want to put them together and put them as a tag team. They want to get that tag tour. I think they're working on putting a tag tournament together. I think because they have.
I want to delete. I want him to go back to that stupid ass.
I seen them do it.
I liked it.
I think they're going to do it. I think they're definitely going to do that. Yes, the Young Bucks. I like the idea that they're giving Jurassic Park. What do they call it? Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Express.
Express. I'm
I
glad
like them.
Yeah. I like that. I like both of those guys. And they, what happened to the little dude that used to always be with them?
Marco, they got rid of him to pay Christian Cage more money. Shut up, dogs. I got to get somebody to shut my dogs up.
So they had to pay Christian Cage more money.
Well, I mean, think about it. If you have Marco Stunt on the payroll, what are you paying him? A couple $100 a week? You ain't paying Christian. You're paying Christian Cage a big contract. To do what? Just to stand? He can't fucking talk, and he just stands there with them. It's a waste of money. And Marco, I thought fit better because he was little. Good worker, though.
He was funny too.
It just made sense, and Christian just stands there.
Yeah, I think it ruined their whole gimmick. You know, that little kid, he would do that goofy dance with his arms and shit. And it'd make me laugh.
And he could wrestle. Like, I've seen him in GCW. He can work. He can go.
I know it's not believable, some of the stuff, but if you make it look believable, I mean, I think it would get over. I mean, we did it with Mikey Whipwreck.
Yeah.
In ECW, he was a ring guy. All he did was put the ring together every place we were at. And we happened to be sitting around the ring one day and look in the ring, and this kid's in the ring working out, and we're watching him, and we're like, damn, he's a ring guy? And we're thinking to ourselves, he could bum, he could do everything. You know, and then I think Raven might have came up with that angle, you know. I'm a loser, baby. You know, put him with Beck.
Why did he stop doing, like, he doesn't do interviews, he doesn't do conventions, he doesn't do signings? Why did he just disappear?
What I was told was he just doesn't feel happy about him, the way he looks now. And he put weight on, and he's bald, and he looks like Cousin It, kind of.
Can't throw the stone on the ball, but yeah, he's got weight on me.
Listen, I love Mikey. I have no problem with him. I've always been cool with him. I don't see what the difference is. You know what I'm saying? I think he should just, people like him. They hang out a lot of fans. I know it's not like he can't use the money. You know what I'm saying? So I know he's married now, and I don't know if he has kids or anything, but yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, for him not to go to shows and stuff. Because I was on we had like a little tour in West Virginia, like 4 or 5 day gimmick, and he was on it with us, and he was cool. You know what I mean? Like, he can't wrestle as much as like he used to, but I mean, he didn't skip a beat. Like, he still entertained fine. You know, everybody was happy about it. Nobody ever bitched.
I thought when they switched him with Sinister Minister and Tanjiri and all that killed it. That gimmick was when he won the world title. That's what killed it. That it just to me, it killed it for me.
They should have never let him. They should have almost like kept it going where he almost went. You know, because he was the underdog kid. That was kind of his gimmick, I thought, and I thought it was stupid, man. I mean, it was a good idea building him up, you know, to get a belt on him, because it did bring his popularity up big time. You know what I mean? He started really getting a lot of followers because he was the guy that, you know, he can do it. You know, the train that couldn't climb the hill or something, you know what I mean? But he was able to do it. And I thought it was cool. I mean, the whole angle, the whole gimmick, you know, I was the first guy to put him over. He beat me for my TV title.
Kept trying to give it back every week. Just take the belt. I don't want it. My mom's getting mad at me.
Taz,
it was over. It worked.
Taz interfered, so it was a fuck finish, you know. I even got yelled at because on 3 I kicked out, even though he still pinned me. And I got yelled at, but, you know, shit happens, you know.
Yeah, I never got that. It was like, I even asked him maybe about a year ago. I said, when I was still doing a lot of interviews and stuff, hey, would you mind doing an interview? And he was polite, but he's like, no, I don't do any of that anymore. So, okay.
And it's funny too, because I lived in Philly back then. Now, and all these guys, like a lot of guys, they were all living in New York. Now these fucking guys are living in Philadelphia because they met somebody, they got married or whatever it is. Now they're in Philly. I'm like, you guys should have been in Philly back in the day. I said, instead you're in New York. You should have stayed in Philly from the get-go.
I still remember a guy asked me how I talked to Raven. I was like, I said, I don't know. I was like, did he charge us? No, he didn't charge me a nickel. I was like, he told us it was going to be $2,500 for 30 minutes. Like, that means he doesn't want you to bother him ever again, or he's hoping you're really going to pay him, because
Jeez.
you cannot pay somebody that if you're not going to sell it. I would see paying him 25 grand if you're making a DVD and selling it or streaming it, but just to talk to a guy, no, I wouldn't give Sabu $300. I'm not going to pay somebody that kind of money. It's ridiculous.
It's $2,500.
Couple $100. Okay. That's like a booking. I get it's less than a booking. I can see that. I
That's
need
fair.
$2,000 for a half hour. No way in hell.
Yeah. Nah. I mean, I charge $100 an hour, 150 an hour. I mean, some people are like, absolutely no problem. And then you got people out there, I'd never pay for anybody on my podcast. Well, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? It's like back in the day, we used to do podcasts for free.
COVID put an end to that.
Yeah, I mean, our money stopped. So what are we going to do? You know what I mean? So we had if I can get 3 or 4 podcasts a week, I mean, that brought in a couple dollars, at least it brought in a paycheck. We're not asking for a ton of fucking money. $100, cash at me, $100, cash at me. I did one in the UK. I said 150. He was like, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
He's got 200,000 followers.
I was gonna say he's monetized, so he probably made it. If you're like, for my case, I didn't do anything for a nickel, so that's why I always like real leery. But I would get a lot of people during COVID that the action stars from the 90s that were getting there. Now that COVID, everybody's watching their movies, so for them it was an easy way to to promote it. So
yeah.
But they were still getting money. Wrestlers, it stopped. I mean,
Dude,
1 week and you're done.
March 8th of 2000, I remember getting home from New York, and the 8th was Sunday. I think everything got locked down that day or the next day.
You should start your own company.
I know. That's what I said. We're going to. But I'm not going to start a company and try to compete with other companies.
No, I'm firmly believe if you can afford the startup, you can you could run a school, run a show, maybe twice a month or once a month. You could make a nice living. I've always believed that. I don't have startup money.
Yeah. I mean, I did a couple of things with Pro Wrestling Unplugged, 3PW. We were all involved in that stuff. We were all office on that stuff. It's hard, man, to make it. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it sometimes. I mean, if you break even, I think that's success. But because most of these independent shows, they don't. Like I seen one they had in Ohio this past weekend, huge crowd. I mean, I know they had some big names on that show, so they had to pay out a lot of money to get for that show. And that was a read book from when they got canceled back in March, back in the day when COVID hit. It was the big Circleville, Ohio show. Big, and it's big time over there. Ohio people spend a lot of money, man. They spend a lot of money on gimmicks, T-shirts, and stuff like that. And they're big cats over there. So when you go there, you got to bring like no smaller than a 3XL, because these guys are all monsters, man. 5XLs. I had to bring 4XLs, man. That's how big these guys were. Because they're all like Ohio State football players. I mean, that's where they get all these big monsters from, man. I was surprised.
So when I was thinking about starting one, I asked one of the local guys, I said, what do you get paid? And I'm not going to say what it is, but I'm going to tell you the honest word for word. A lot of the guys here are stupid. They get paid on the house. I got a guaranteed deal. Would you mind if I ask how much you make on a show? $20.
And that was his
guarantee. He was a high paid guy. For $100, I could have had a fucking every wrestler paid. It's like, I get that you're working cheap because these guys are filling your heads. Motherfucker, Vince McMahon ain't watching here in Nebraska where I live. He ain't. You ain't on any kind of pay-per-view. You can do your little YouTube shit and all that all you want, like everybody else. $20 and you're $25 and you're high pay. You're one of the highest paid guys. That's a fucking joke.
I remember my lowest pay ever. Well, legit pay. I mean, I've been places where I've never got paid, but this is when I was green. But I remember driving to Philadelphia. Me and my partner, we were living in New Jersey at the time, and we did a benefit because Joel Goodhart and Todd Gordon would always work with the. I don't know if it was Make-A-Wish. It was one of them. It was one of those gimmicks, and we would do it for the police department of Philadelphia. So we'd have like a big carnival behind the FOP lodge, and rides for the kids and stuff like that. So what happened was, since Todd was the president of that, in Philadelphia, they decided, shit, let's put a wrestling show on, and we knew it, we were going in and it was for the benefit, and we didn't care, but I got paid $15. I didn't bitch. Didn't even cover my gas to get there back probably, but I was still green, but we were coming back and forth from Japan. And that's why Todd hired us right away, because, we were, besides Sabu, we were the only tag team that just got back from Japan besides Benoit and them guys when they came in later. But that's why Todd hired us immediately. He was like, yo, you guys were in Japan. Of course, I'm going to hire you right away, and you were already in Tri-State Wrestling Alliance. So you're an original ECW person anyway. Us and the Destroyers, we would have feuds all the time. They were the big tag team there at that one time. When we went there, they were the tag team, the Super Destroyers.
Now you're doing another Icon show, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to be back March 26th down there. I'll be actually sitting with Michael Spinks, former heavyweight
boxer.
Yeah, former heavyweight championship of the world, heavyweight champion of the world, man.
There was somebody going to be there that I popped, and I was like, holy shit, they're at the same convention as the Pitbull, but I can't remember who it is now.
There's a lot of people going to be there. They got it booked. I mean, I don't know how that kid Tim does it, man, but he's got it down to a science, He's getting.
How does it work? Do you get paid to be there and then they get to keep gimmick? Or how does that work at those big shows?
It depends who you are. Like, you can get a fee. Like, sometimes I'll get one straight up fee and they keep everything. Or sometimes they'll say, we'll do a 50-50 split. It just depends. You know what I mean? They have to fly me in and get me a hotel. So I add that in too, So I try to work with everybody. I want people to make money. I don't want people to lose money,
I'm sure a guy like Sting is probably, we're paying you X amount of dollars, but we keep your gimmicks.
Oh yeah, he's making probably 10 grand an hour. And
probably bringing that in though. I mean, I heard his lines are atrocious.
Yeah, but listen, his lines are long, but I'm going to tell you, if you don't know what you're doing, I mean, you could bring in Sting for 40 grand and Goldberg for 42,000. All right, that's $82,000. Okay, you have them both there. They have two huge lines. I mean, if you get the people in and out real quick, like I would say, like, nobody should have more than 2 minutes in there to say hello, take a picture, get your picture signed, out the door. Because these guys they don't fuck around, dude. They give you 4 hours and they're going to take lunch in between those 2 hours. And they're going to eat. And you're going to sit there and you're going to sweat because you got a line of 300, 400, 500 people trying to get in there to see him. They're going to pay a ticket. But after the 4 hours, I don't know about those guys, but I know the Undertaker, he don't leave until the line's done. He don't care. Even if he has to stay an extra half hour, he'll do it because of his fans.
Yeah.
Some other guys that, 4 hours, I'm done. I'm out the door. Then you got 300 people still waiting in line. You just lost all that money. You may have to return that money if they already prepaid you. So, I mean, I just experience wise, I mean, if I ever did something like that, I would have to make sure that people are in and out within a 2-minute span because you're not going to make your money back.
At a local comic sci-fi like convention we had, they'd always bring in a couple wrestlers. I remember Lita showed up Sunday 3 hours late. 3 hours late. She came with her little dog. She liked me. She talked to me for about a half hour, but there weren't a lot of wrestling people there. Booker T was late and he was watching his phone. He did not even want to be bothered. Scott Norton was the way it should be. He was walking around. He was talking to people. He had his NWO gear on. And, you know, when he didn't have a line, he showed me how to arm wrestle, like the tricks that he used to do and all that. Great guy. I mean, you
Scott's
can't
awesome.
beat that. But yeah, the other one, like, it's like, God, I'd like to meet Lita because I'd never met her before. And we're there, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Finally, around 12:30, she shows up. And by then, people that want her, they already, fuck her. I'm not.
They already blew their money.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they go there, they want to see certain people if they can't. And that's what sucks sometimes about these signings. I mean, you got these guys that are in a different class and they'll have a line waiting, and we're waiting for them to go through there so then they can start walking through our section. But they'll sit there in line and they'll wait in line. They don't care. They'll wait 3 hours. They don't give a shit.
Well, they had Lita right next to Sam Jones, Flash Gordon. He was the big name. She could have been cleaning up because he had a line in the beginning. The first few hours, he had a line. Her booth was right next to him. Could have been right up. She wasn't there.
Yeah, see, that was a big mistake on her part. I always look at that. That's important, right? What you said is who's sitting next to you, where are you sitting next to? It makes a big difference. It help you out, It's true.
I mean, I gotta say, in person, Lita's pretty fucking hot. I always thought on TV, I never thought she was that good looking. In person, though, she was really fucking cute. Nice body, too. This is just a few years ago. I'm talking older Lita. She was pretty hot. She was really nice. A little weird, but she was nice.
She was nice when she was in ECW. They had her with Danny Doring and Billy, I think, and
Roadkill.
Yeah.
Amish Roadkill. Miscongeniality.
Yeah, but she didn't stay long, man. I mean, it felt like what was I going to say? It
a month or two at best.
Yeah,
then she grabbed her
there, and then she was gone. It was that quick.
She's very, though, for her time, she was probably one of the best in the States wrestlers, though. I mean, she was, there weren't many girls that were doing Hurricane Ranas and Suicidas and stuff. So she was.
Well, I think that's why they put her with the Hardys right off the bat. So I'm sure they told her a lot of shit. So just so she could be with them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know a guy that booked her and said he was like, she was really nice. Like, she talks a lot about UFO abductions, but she was really nice. But this was another one that they would bring in Lita. They'd bring in DDP. They'd bring in Vicky Guerrero, but they weren't moving to bigger venues. Here's 500 people. We're getting 500 people every week. Now let's spend 20 grand on more people, but let's stay in the same building. You have to keep moving up, get a bigger space.
You have to keep building it up. We're going to be doing, we have a lot of things on the schedule that we're working on. I mean, next year is going to be brutal, but we're going to be busy. And we're starting off, and I'm going to put it out there right now. The Women's Wrestling Hall of Fame. Is there one? There is now. There is now. So now that we have the Women's Wrestling Hall of Fame, we'll be inducting women into it. I'm talking any kind of woman, I don't care what, any kind of sport. It doesn't have to be just wrestling. It could be any kind of sport, boxing, martial arts. If you pull a gold medal in at the Olympics, we're going to put you in it. You know what I mean? That's how it is. So we'll be nominating people probably once a year, having a huge show. And it'll be like a 3-day event when we do it. So be looking out for that, boys, because the LLC was done and it's fine. So
I'd like to induct Alondra Blaze just so I can cop a feel.
yeah.
Flat out say, because she is still good looking.
Deborah,
Yeah. Never met her. Never met her. She's really nice, actually.
she's very nice. Very nice. And she actually may be a part of what we're doing. So we're gonna have a lot of, we gotta have some names, man. We gotta have some people that are gonna push it, you know. We're working on a lot of stuff. I can't give you all the details, but that's just the first little peek. But just think about some other stuff that's not being done that could be done in our business. You know what I'm saying? So we're staying busy on it.
How do you think Braun Strowman and EC3's little promotion that they're starting is going to do that's going to air on some app? Remember they kept talking,
I heard about that, but I don't know why would they do that. Why would they blow their money, man? They should know. They've been in the business. You know what I mean? And they've been the fucking independent shows back before they were in WWF and all that shit. So
I was just happy not to see Braun Strowman on AEW because here you got it. And this is to me what shows you a horrid booking. Here's this big dude, and he's taking ambulances and flipping them over.
Yeah.
Yet he can't beat Seth Rollins, who he's got 180 pounds on. It was the stupidest book. He can toss a car, but he can't withstand a curb stomp. It's just fucking dumb.
I want to give a shout out to Big E. Big E. He broke his neck, but he's in good shape, and that's why he's still fucking kicking, because he was in great shape. He's in the hospital, but I think he's doing well. And he moves all his extremities, so he's fine. Close call. Lucky for him, like I said, he was in shape, man. You know, if he had a little pencil neck like some of these other guys, I think they would have never got up from that spot.
Adam Cole wouldn't have got up. I don't think Adam Cole even exercises anymore.
Corey Graves, weren't they saying he was supposed to put him in the ring and wrestle? I was just like, are you freaking kidding me?
But like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I'm ready to get back in the ring. Nobody knows who the fuck you are. You were an NXT guy for a couple weeks, and you got hurt.
I saw his work.
Look,
I saw his work in the ring, dude. He was fucking this skinny. I mean, yeah, he's got a couple tattoos on him. He's all tattooed up, but that ain't muscle.
No.
Like I said, stick to what you're good at. You know, he wasn't good at being in the ring. I seen it. It was one of the dark matches. It was fucking horrible. I don't know. I was like, how did they get him to be a commentating out of that fucking match? I don't understand unless he told them that he can do it and they gave him a try.
He was a good commentator. I remember when they stuck him with John Moxley's wife, that Renee Pacquiao, however you say,
yeah,
she was deaf on the mic. I remember she was god awful. That's why I think AEW's never picked her up. It's like
she
terrible.
She leaves too much empty, like quiet space. That's her problem. Like you don't want no silence when you're doing commentary. Somebody always has to be talking. And when you're watching a show and there's no commentary and it's dead air, nobody wants dead air. They don't. That's just a no-no. So I think that's probably why. I mean, I thought they were just because Moxley was over there working, but I don't think he would want her there because you know what I mean. You know, she's got a baby. If I was him, I'd be like, stay home and take care of the baby.
Now I tried. We had a local that needed commentators, and I had done my little tryout for it. I was good. I know I was good because I don't ever shut my mouth. And I was like, okay, so what's the deal? Well, you got to be here at noon to help put up the ring. And I'm thinking like, well, I'm an announcer, but that's cool. You know, I get a little exercise, get to talk to people. Okay. How much you going to pay me? Well, we don't pay anything. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm going to get here at noon to set up your shit, then to announce for 3 fucking hours, then help you take down all your shit and load it and not get a nick, go to hell.
They should have gave you something because you're a commentator.
Well, they found 2 marks that are terrible.
We'll
put up all the chairs and we'll do this and this and we'll commentate and then we'll take everything down for free. You ain't doing it. I wouldn't go work for Vince McMahon for free. You have to give me something. I'm not that big of a mark as to where, oh, I get to sit next to Triple H for 5 minutes. No, you got to pay me if I'm going to work.
Yeah, and I never thought of that way. I mean, the first time I was in Vince's locker room, I'm sure I marked out, but I didn't let anybody know.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be marking out, but yeah, I wouldn't be like.
I mean, I remember there was some guys who were marking out. Like I remember Rockin' Rebel. He was marking out for Haku, and when I think Haku was the king or something at that time, or
Yeah, I
he
remember
put the
that.
robe on, and
Yeah, King
oh,
Haku.
we were just like, you fucking moron, this ain't even our locker room, and you're in here fucking acting like an idiot, man, and it ended up fucking him up because he got a lot of heat for that. I remember.
I would see at the gym because I worked at a powerhouse in the mid '90s when wrestling would come here. Everybody would work out there, and I would, and I remember in a WCW show, Benoit was at the gym. I remember him vividly for many things, but I was just like, hey, I'll be there tonight. Have a good match. He just, thank you. But you'd see people, the guys like he gets one curl in, and there's people asking him, it's like, leave the fucking guy alone. He's here to work out. He's not being paid to be your friend right now. Give the man his I think that's why I've always gotten kind of along when I met him. If I see him in the airport, hey, good. Hey, wait. You got a plane to catch. Fuck. I'm not going to ask a waitress how much she gets paid. Why would I ask you? It just doesn't make sense. You got to respect privacy for people.
Exactly. And especially in our business, nobody wants to tell anybody what everybody makes. Nobody wants to know what, you know what I mean? It's always been that way.
Yeah, I don't.
Between us and the booker. It has nothing to do with the other guys. And the guys that usually bitch about the pay are the ones that usually get fired. Because like they're bitching, they want more money, but it's not time for you to have more money yet. You're not there yet. When you get there, yeah. But some people don't want to wait. I mean, I knew my first job was in North Carolina for South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. And I knew I was making $75 a night, but that's 6 nights a week. With a partner, that's $150 a night. So with 2 guys, it's a little bit different, a little bit easier on us because we could share our money. That's why we were able to get an apartment instead of living in a hotel. Paying $150 each in a hotel when we lived in. We had our own little apartment, man. It was great, pool, tandem bed, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We were only paying $485 a month. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s, if that. It was kind of late 80s. Because we didn't get to Japan between 90 and 91, so we started going to Japan. So like from 88, when we got to the Monster Factory, that's how fast we got out. I mean, I was in 88 and we were already working 89. And then by 90, 91, we were already in Japan. So that happened pretty fucking fast for us. It don't usually do that for other people.
I mean, I know you gotta start low, but
well, it was a combination of our look, our gimmick matched our look, and we just got over. I mean, there's some matches you'll see people like somebody just posted a match, a whole show from South Atlantic. It was like North Atlantic Pro Wrestling, they were calling it. It was called South, and they tried to change it to North. But I mean, on that card that night was Cowboy Bob Orton, The Godfather, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, okay, Robert Fuller, okay, Ivan Koloff, Nikolai Koloff, all those guys. So these are all the guys who are on that show, and the Pitbulls are on there. And we opened up the show, and we were green, but we had a good match. We had good chemistry. We made good tags. We dominated the guys we worked, just jobbed them out because they were building us up, and they were building us up as baby faces, but we didn't. It wasn't our thing, but we had to do what we had to do, until we got our way, and we asked them and begged them, let us cut a promo, man, please, the heel promo. And the Nasty Boys were on that show as well, and they were the heels. So once they heard our promos, right away, because the Nasties just came in, they're like, all right, we're going to swap you guys out. We're going to make the Nasties faces, and we're going to make you heels, and we'll put you in the stud stable just to make sure you're heels. And I'm like, thank you. I loved it. I loved it. It was working every night, 6 nights a week with no problem, bro. Yeah, we had a.
Did you work Memphis? Did you work in USWA?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Here's my question, because I've heard in USWA, those were $10, $15, $20 paydays. You had Jerry the King Lawler's making 5-10 grand a week. How in the fuck is that even? I get everyone has a place on the card, but that's some big discrepancies.
Me and Anthony were at one of the buildings. I don't know. It was sold out. Jarrett was the main event, I guess. Jeff Jarrett, somebody else. And we went with Robert Fuller. He's like, come on, boys, we're going to go down to Tennessee. We're going to bring the new stud stable down there. So let's go. We'll do a 2-week run. So every night they were giving me $50. And they kept telling me and Anthony, you'll get a check at the end of the week. You get a check at the end of the week. Jarrett never gave us a check at the end of the week. We just made $50 a night. I mean, we actually went to Tennessee to make less money, which I thought was fucking stupid.
I was thinking you would have had to cover then driving the gas to drive to the next town to stay. You $5-6.
Yeah, every night they're like, oh, you want to draw? A $50 draw. Because in Vince, they would do the same thing. Every night, but those guys, give me like $200, give me like $300, and they have it, boom, they'll give it to you, but they take it away from your, weekly check. Vince always had like, I forget his name, is an older guy, but white hair, and he would always have the briefcase full of cash, bro, full of cash. So, but when we went to Tennessee for those 2 weeks, I mean, they would give us $50 every night and call it a draw, but I never got a check at the end of the week. It was a rough, and I put 1,600 miles at least on my car. You know what I mean? It was just traveling. So, but it was good because we got experience, and I got to work guys. Like I met Jerry Lynn the first time, and it was me and my partner against him and some other guy. And we were blowing the doors off this building, man. We were rocking, man. We had such a good match. And I remember I told Jerry, take a face bump, and he hit his head, but he did it too hard. He actually busted himself open. So he got color, which made everybody go insane in the locker room. Because back then, the only match that would bleed would be the last match, especially in Tennessee. And they were just I remember they were yelling at Jerry going, what the fuck are you doing getting color? And he's like, look, it wasn't, I didn't gig myself. You know what I mean? It was my head hit the mat and the beam happened to be sticking out. That busted his head open, and come to find out, I didn't work Jerry the next night. And Jerry told me that wound opened back up again and they were ripping him a new ass again. Yeah, and he's like, dude, it was a fucking accident. Shit happens, but they're pissed. I remember because Lawler was there, and they're like, man, with the color ain't till the last match, But I'm telling you, the place was, I don't know what building it was, but it was sold out, standing room only. Because I remember it was just so hot in there, the heat, you could just feel it, man. It was brutal.
Shit, they were selling out they had their little TV with 30 people, little shit
The
thing
TV
on Saturday
was so
mornings.
small, but everybody went through the USWA. I mean, you could look up me and Anthony there.
I saw the Eliminators there with Saturn instead, like really long hair.
Yeah, but
Hulk Hogan was there. He did the job to Lawler.
The Hardy Boys were there. If you would have seen what the Hardy Boys looked like, they looked like little kids. They looked like children, man. I'm telling you,
I'm too a Jeff.
I'm going to be honest with you. The Hardy started the small guy phase.
Yeah, they reinvented the ladder match, them, Edge, and Christian. I mean, they turned that into a demolition derby. That changed because it used to be the two guys just trying to climb to get the thing, but no, they started.
Now they're doing moves off of ladders. They never did moves off ladders before. And I'm going to tell you that match probably took about 4 or 5 years off of everybody's life. Okay, that's no joke.
I did like when my man Orange at the pay-per-view climbed on top of when they were both holding the ladder, and he climbed up and he was trying to get you know what? No, I get you had to have Wardlow win, but there was the fan in me was like, let Orange Let him get, because they've
Well,
overexposed Orange so much. He
yeah.
should be once or twice a month on TV to interview, fight at pay-per-view. I shouldn't have to see him every fucking week. I think he was overexposed.
I loved it when I was hoping somebody was going to do it. Me and my girl were both sitting there. My girl called it though. When Orange Cassidy put the ladder on his head like Terry Funk.
Yep.
Huh? Yeah.
How about when they were all in a
As a
huddle and
kid,
he just jumped
like,
on top
like-
of their shoulders? I mean, he did great stuff.
But just like my girl said, that's a kid. That's Orange Cassidy is somebody that probably sits back and watches old videos and old stuff and tries to pick up shit. Because if I'm going to do a ladder match, what am I going to do? I'm going to go try to find as many ladder matches I can find and watch, old ones, you know, so then I can do some of that stuff that they don't even do anymore, you know. But that's what he must have did, because he pulled out the Terry Funk gimmick, and he got a pop out of me from it.
And he did it slow. Did you notice he did it at the orange speed? You know,
Did the orange speed, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I got it. I posted a picture on Facebook. My kid actually got it for me for my birthday. It came late. I got the jean jacket.
I saw that, yeah.
I'm on it. I mean, fuck. And because I ain't worn a jean jacket since the 90s. And I put it on yesterday and I was like, oh my God, it's got a pocket inside. And I put my phone, I was like, that's where I used to keep my cigarettes and all that, you know, and your lighter.
Dude, I know.
It was nice, man. I loved it. I wore it again today. You know, I was like,
I have one too. I had gotten, because I had gotten a tattoo on my forearm, and a girl in Philadelphia was an airbrush artist, so she put the tattoo on the back of my jean jacket, and it's badass. But it's like, it just feels weird because it's like I don't see anybody wearing jean jackets anymore.
no, I remember I used to think he was wrestling in jeans until I found out those are like they're like workout pants that just look like jeans. Yeah, it's but it's great. I love that gimmick. I remember he was one, my son and I, the minute we saw him, we know who the fuck he was. When he was kicking Dreamer at that first pay-per-view, it's like, what the fuck is, but he was over with. I mean, the whole building was going nuts. And he's athletic. I mean, I couldn't do kip ups with my hands in my pockets.
That's impressive. Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen him, like, I think before he started doing that kind of gimmick, he would wrestle.
He's
like
good.
Match. Yeah. So he can work. It's like, he's like Sandman, you know, you don't have to, he can swing a cane and drink a beer. He don't have to do anything, you know, and he can still work if he wanted to, you know.
I saw Jerry Lawler on two house shows. I saw him one where he worked Razor, and Razor, you know, and Lawler has the toothpick, and he's doing it. It drops it, and he's picking it up, and then Hall just tosses it to him, and Lawler's selling it like he's hitting it. 20 minutes. Then I saw him like a couple months later. He had to work Duke the Dumpster Drosy, you know, and I'm sitting there, and there's a girl in the crowd. She wasn't a plant. She was ugly, and he's like, God, look at you. You're so ugly. You got to put a bag on your head to talk on the phone. Look at how ugly you are. You know, that's all he's doing. And he gets Duke the Dumpster in the corner, and he's get the 1-2, and he looks at this girl. He's like, this is for you, ugly. And then Duke makes the comeback. But yeah, it's like, once again, it's like, I really watched a 2-minute match, but I got 15 minutes of him insulting people. He was smart. It's very smart.
It's called killing time, man.
Remember when Eddie Gilbert hit him with the car? I mean, Lawler was taking stuntman bumps back. Like, everybody's like, the announcer is like, no, he used to like be a bump machine. He was not an athletic, not a built guy, but he was smart. You know, I liked him. Look, he was on top of that company for what, 40 years? Yeah, I mean, but he was over.
Yeah, I mean, people loved him. But he was over. It's like the Von Erichs, like the Von Erichs in Texas. You know, they could have dropped their pants and took a shit in the ring, and they still be over. It didn't make a difference.
You know, the only one that I thought really was, and I didn't think any of them were overly talented, Kerry. Kerry was good looking. He was juiced to the gills, so he was just beyond Jack. But the Claw, you know, but yeah, like you said, they were over. But anywhere else they went, they were not over.
Dude, they would sell out every single show. I mean, when the territories were around, that's where shit. If I was younger, I would have loved working in Texas with those.
Oh, they were in stadiums, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, and it was. I mean, shit, man. I mean, the one brother was able to sell the whole ranch that they owned in Texas, and they moved to Hawaii in 10 acres over there, probably in a beautiful place.
I don't.
You
That
got
was
money to move to Hawaii, bro.
I wish I knew more about that. I mean, because it's a tragedy. But there's got to be something there. There's something that that we don't know.
Something genetic too. I mean, I remember I met him when he was called the hurricane or the tornado or
Texas tornado, yeah.
the Texas tornado. I remember I met him and he was real nice to me. They were cool. No like attitudes or you know what I mean. They knew who they were. They were Von Erichs, and they took it with a grain of salt, I guess. You know, they're very humble. So that's how that's my impression of them. They were very humble guys.
Heenan would call him the Texas toilet.
Really?
You know, Heenan, you know, I mean that.
But you know, he only had 1 foot, right?
Yeah, it was like amputated or something like that. But
Yeah, he always felt funny about that. Like if I would walk in, like if you go in the hotel room, he would always keep that leg underneath the sheet. It just bothered him because he had a special boot made where he could put his leg in there and he could still wrestle, even though and that's the same thing with one of the bushwhackers. I don't know if you know that, but one of the bushwhackers lost their foot too, one of their feet or half their foot. And I think it was because of diabetes or something like that. But they had to wear, one of the bushwhackers had to wear a special boot for that.
they had the best gimmick at the Royal Rumble. Thrown out, but they got paid. You know, they got paid the same as the guy in there for 40 minutes. They had 4 seconds.
Dude, me and my partner wrestled them late 80s in New Zealand in front of 55,000 people.
They were over.
That's where they're from. They were over like Rover, man. And it was the easiest night, but it was one of the easiest and great match. I mean, because they were just so over. Like they could have, those guys actually could have took a piss in the ring and the place would have popped. That's how insane over they were. Because they were saying the sheep herders were from New Zealand.
I was saying, I remember the sheep herders there in barbed wire, they're bloody, and then they just go to licking each other. They'd hold the one for the battering ram. They wouldn't do shit, you know.
The finish was so easy. It was like, because when you're younger and you're coming into business, you know, it's everybody's finish is what you're worried about. Like, oh man, I gotta take that finish. It's a little nerve-wracking, you know. But then when you do it, these guys are pros, you're not gonna get hurt. They take care of you. You know, like we used to do our super bomb. You used to hear the guys bitch, man. Oh man, I don't know if I want to take that bump. I'm like, that's our finish. I don't know what to tell you, man. It's not as bad as it looks.
I take it.
It's scary when you're up there, but I mean, Ant takes care of you. I mean, he was a strong person, and he was able to control your body and get you flat. If he wanted to, he could send you out of the ring if he wanted to, you know. But he would always throw him across the ring, and you could see it because I would tell people, look. The most important thing you have to do is tuck your chin. If your chin's like this, you're good. If you're going to be like this, you're going to whack your head on the back of the mat because you're coming off the rope so high. Yeah, remember, you're not on the top rope. You're on Anthony's shoulders who's sitting on the top rope. So it's an extra 3-4 feet that you're up there. And when you're up there, you're like, holy shit, because you're so high up. And all you do is, because I've taken my finish. In one of the matches we did, we had the Dudley boys actually came down and hit me and Anthony with our finish. We no-sold and got right up, though. It was for that 1995 match that we had, a double dog collar.
Well, I think I told you, I always thought the total elimination looked like shit, but you said it actually kills you when they hit you with it.
Oh,
that would be the finish. I'd be like, I'll take that. What the fuck? That ain't no big deal. But
it's cool, though, because the best way to take that is to jump up a little bit as they go. So none of your extremities is on the ground because Perry would swing that lower leg sweep at you. You know what I mean? And he'll hurt your knees if your legs are on the ground. And then you got Cronus with this 320-pound leg coming at your head. You know, it's like you can't. What are you going to do? Put both arms up? You know, you're not going to do it. You're just going to take the bump. I mean, eventually we took it so many times, it was cake. You know, you get used to it. But it was a good, I thought it was always a good finish.
It looked me. To me, it always looked like the least devastating finish there.
It was you until you take it is when you'll be like, it don't look devastating, but when you're taking it, you're gonna be like, oh shit.
So I wouldn't want to take 3D. The Dudley's move, that looks like it could fucking kill you.
Oh, where he just catches them and then
Where he throws you and the other one gives you the cutter. I wouldn't want to take that. I'd be nervous of cutters.
nah, you land on your stomach on that. Honestly, after you took the elimination, you would switch. I'm telling you, you'd switch.
I'd take Taz's choke. That's easy. He's not really choking you out.
Oh yeah, he had to. He was doing that suplex, that half Nelson suplex. He was throwing everybody on their heads.
Oh, I wouldn't want to get suplex by him. He's too short. You're not going to clear anything. You're going to hit your head.
Bro, he was always throwing me on my head.
But
finally, I had to say something. Finally, it was like I couldn't take it no more. You know what I mean? It's like, look, I love working with you. It's cake every night. I said, but you throw me on my head, and I'm jumping for you too. It's not like I'm dead weight. You know, I'm giving you a fucking spot.
Did you tell him to pick a hand?
No, I just said pick a different finish. Is what I told him.
I would take the choke. That's a nice. He does it perfect. I mean, I know how to do the choke. I mean, it's a judo choke. You learn it, but
and he switched it to that, and I was like, "That's great. That's even better." I was like, "No problem."
Because there's no way he's got it pinched. You know, you can tell he's just like that. He cradles you. That's it. The sleeper. I take the sleeper all day. Just
so you got to remember.
What the fuck is this?
I mean, I did 2 runs against Taz. I did a run when he was the Tasmanian Devil. When I first got to ECW, then as far as going back there, and then later on, I did another angle when he was called Taz. You know, so we ended up doing 2 different angles with him. Like I did one with just me, and then when my partner came in later, we ended up doing another one with Taz, but he was called Taz. So beating us would just make him get even stronger and stronger. Because that's what Paul was doing, was trying to build him up, build him up, build him up.
Paul had everybody convinced he was the toughest. Yeah, Taz convinced he was the toughest guy in the world. I thought he was like, this guy, you should see this guy. This guy go to the UFC. And then when he went WWE and Lawler said, what do you, I got a sock taller than you. Then I was kind of like, yeah. Lawler killed his career. That's my opinion. But he gave him a new career. He became a commentator, and he was amazing at it. He's very good.
MTV loved him. I mean, Vince was going to let him go, but MTV, I think that's when they were doing Tough Enough. MTV's like, no, you can't fire that guy. We love him. He does great commentary.
He was fantastic.
You know, so they made sure he kept his job. And then I guess, you know, Vince is the kind of person you grow on him. You know, so I think eventually Taz grew on him. You know, because I remember when I went there for the one night stand, Dreamer and Taz were pretty much in charge of our situation anyway. I mean, we didn't have any Vince guys telling us what to do. We had all ECW people telling us what to do. You know, we were all suited up, and you know, we were representing ECW, trying to look, you know, like, you know, they took care of us, put us in hotels, gave us limos. You know, they gave us everything 5-star. I mean, it was good. I mean, as soon as you walk in, they're like, all right, you do this, you do that. Everybody had something to do. I mean, I was lucky. As soon as I walked in the door, they're like, all right, get dressed. You got some promos to do. I said, I'm not working. They're like, no, you're promo. I'm like, okay, you know, what am I going to do? So I would have loved to be on the show. I mean,
it was a good show. It was a very fun show. I really liked it.
Awesome show. It was one of the best shows ever. I mean, it changed the history and the legacy of wrestling. It changed it to the point where they had to start doing the Attitude Era. There's no doubt about it. So,
well, I was really excited when GCW went to the Hammerstein, but they didn't have it lit properly like you guys and Vince did. It was like dreary looking. It was like, the fuck is this?
They don't have a big production.
I think they would have for something like that big. They could have got some lighting instead of paying.
I heard they draw pretty good. I heard they, you know, even though they don't even use a ring, I think it's like chains. I don't even think they use ropes.
It's a smaller ring too that they have. No, you figure they always sell out. I know tons of people that order the shit on Fight like we do, and they're doing weekly things. I mean, they've got to be making really good money.
But they're not putting it back into the company.
No, the company still looks like shit. There's no fucking what half their shows, they don't even have the fucking tarp around the ring.
No. Like I said, I seen the ring once. I think they had 2 chains going around the ring. So.
When they did that War Games, which was cool, it took them like 2 hours to put a cage up.
No, you got to be fast with that. When I ran shows and we had cage matches, they were already set. They knew exactly what they had to do. You got 2 guys. You have a couple guys holding the cage, and you have 2 people doing the clamping and stuff. And you can get it done in 10 minutes if you fucking do it right.
I would probably do a cage match first, to be honest with you.
Cage match has to be toward the end of the show. How are you going to follow a cage match?
The chain match.
Dog collar, yeah.
Yeah, Taipei death match. I would if I was going to run a show, I'd run it a fucking CZW bloodbath style shit.
Yeah.
People do it local.
It seems like, well, you're not getting it on TV no more. Yeah. So people are going to want to see it in person, you know.
Fight TV, the pay-per-view. I could find some idiots that would beat each other with glass for $50.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't be one of them idiots to bleed for that kind of money.
No, they're not getting paid a lot of money, them guys.
No, and that's real glass.
Some are probably wrestling for free, bro, just so they could be on the card.
Who's the one guy that's always on every death match? Schlack.
Yeah.
That guy's always spraying blood every which way. I hope he's making a good living because he's doing death matches. Got to be doing them damn near weekly.
You better be ready because just like that one guy I read about, from doing all those light tubes, he lost his arms, he lost his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's some bad shit, bro. I won't fuck with that shit, man.
There's poison in there.
Yes.
It's going to get in your bloodstream. No, fuck that.
God.
I'll do the barbed wire over glass or over a light. I wouldn't take a light tube. Taking a chain might suck too, though.
Yeah, it's got your goods and the bads, but at least with a chain, you're in control, you know?
And that's a real chain, right? It's not gimmick?
Well, no, that's a real chain. If you miss one little link hits you, man, you feel that sucker, boy. It's brutal.
Punk and MJF put on it. Punk cut himself deep too.
You should have. You had to.
MJF just had that little tiny cut. It looked weak, but
horrible.
But the match was good.
He didn't get color as good as he should have. No. But I'm cool, bro. You cool?
I'm cool. Let's see what's going on and enjoy the 70-degree weather here till we get snow again.
You're lucky. I'm in 51-degree weather. I'm in Florida. That doesn't make any sense to me.
No, weather's global warming, man.
It's a mess. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Peace.